Hello everyone, I'm Brian, and today I'm going to be reacting to Overcome the Fear of Being Judged. Okay, so before I get into that, the last video I did with him about, the last video, I can't remember what it's called, and I just freaking watched it too, is about willingness, volunteer, and I watched it again, I'm still a little bit confused on that. I understood majority of what he said, but something is not clicking in me. He was talking about how when you are yes to willingness, volunteering, you have no will of your own. That's maybe it's the definition that I have for it, but having no will of your own is not a good thing in my mind because then you are a vessel or an empty vessel to be following someone's orders blindly. Now, I don't know if he means that to be always willing, but he kind of did say that to be always yes to willingness or always yes to volunteering, which means to always not have a will of your own, which is that is to me is not a good thing. But I gotta watch more of his videos. Maybe I have to have a misunderstanding on something there because I believe that you definitely have to have a will of your own. You have to have your own thoughts outside of what everyone else says. You can go along, you can agree with people, but because that's what you willed your thoughts to be, and it just so happens to agree with someone else, but it is still your own will and your own thoughts. And it's not to blindly follow anyone and not to willingly give yourself up to anyone. So to volunteer on something would be because you agree with what you're volunteering to, and not because you don't have a will. Jesus, excuse me. Not because you don't have a will of your own. So that's my thoughts on that. I still have to watch it a few more times and maybe even watch other videos where he discussed something very similar to this, or if not this again in just maybe a different manner. But again, I agree with a lot of what he said, and I am having something that's just not connecting with me on that one, even after watching it twice, really thinking about it. So anyways, let's get on with this video. Overcoming the fear of being judged. So yeah, anytime any YouTuber that puts themselves out there always has a fear of being judged, unless you're a psychopath. No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, everyone of course has a fear of being judged, and my thoughts on that before we watch this is the fact that um, I don't think you should take anyone who judges you that don't know you seriously, because they don't know you. They don't know the kind of person you are. Well, that's just plain and simple. They don't know the kind of person you are. They're basing you off of the first experience or one thought they disagree with you with. And purely based on that, they are judging the entirety of you. So, again, a great example is one of my videos with India becoming a great superpower. I think there's more of a miscommunication there with cultural English, because the way I speak English and the way maybe an Indian or British speaks English can be a little bit different, and how we interpret words can be a little bit different. And that's my same thought on the last video I watched of his, where willingness may just be a little bit differently defined in my mind and his mind, and that's the reason why it's not connecting for me. So I have to try to continue to understand where he's coming from and what he's saying. That one video alone is not clicking for me, so I have to find another similar video that hopefully will help me better understand what he's saying. I don't try to pass the blame on him. It's like, oh, he's not doing a good job explaining. No, 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 no. He explains it the best he can, and with a YouTube video, it's not like I could talk to the dude. It's like, hey, can you say that say that again, please? I could just rewind, but it's still the same words over and over again, and if that doesn't click, I need it to be formed a different way. I know I said a lot, it's almost been 5 minutes, let's go ahead and get started with this one.
Whichever way.
Oh, by the way, in the last video was copyrighted, even though I paused a heck of a lot, so hopefully there's no ads on there. There probably is, but oh well. You know, I joined this video, so hope we can go on this journey together to learn more from this person.
The way you judge me has absolutely no impact on me because I'm completely stoned. I have not given this privilege to anybody, that somebody can make me happy, somebody can make me unhappy. Any moment we could be doing something wrong, so we listen to everybody.
I will say, I agree with a lot of what he said there. It's the fact that, um, from my understanding, what he said, that don't let people who judge you change who you are. I do agree with that to a certain degree. If you are clearly doing something bad and a lot of people are telling you that, then there may be some room for either improvement or change. But if you're a good person, I don't know, because this can't be just because you're a good person. There has to be something very clearly defined that would cause you to change. Again, clearly a bad person doing bad things needs to change who they are. But a good person who some people say this is not good, you don't necessarily need to change that. This philosophy is a freaking beast to understand.
But what they say will not determine how I am.
And I do agree with that.
So Sadhguru, sometime back I happened to be in a situation where a friend of mine was drunk. So when she was in the drunk state, she was repeatedly saying that please don't judge me as I'm drinking. Please don't judge me.
Okay. I don't know if she's going to answer any more than that. I want to try to answer as best as I can, just to see if I fall in line with his thinking too. You are responsible for your actions, and you're judged based on your actions. You cannot excuse yourself from your actions. If you know you're drinking too much and you're getting to that state where you cannot think clearly, you are still responsible for that action. You cannot escape from your own responsibilities on yourself. Whatever you do is your responsibility, and you have to hold yourself responsible for that, and people, I will say, can judge you for that. Again, this is the kind of thing where she could very well be a very good person, but if you're doing bad things, that judgment may help you redirect you into to course correct you, I suppose. Now, could I have just said a whole bunch of wrong things? Maybe. I can't wait to see what he says. Why he's laughing about it.
It is… but she has lost her judgment, but she doesn't want you.
So my question is,
Oh,
whether
God,
it is alcohol or not, in life, why are we so apprehensive about being judged by others? And how can we not let this come on our way of being happy?
My answer to that would be, if you know you're doing the right thing and what you believe to be the right thing, then a judgment of other people's should not affect you. So for example, helping a poor person, and you're trying to give them food, provide them shelter, or try to get their life back together, and then some people's like, oh, don't do that, he's not gonna recover, you're just being dumb by doing that. And in a sense, that's judging you and judging the poor person as well. But if you believe it to be true and you do it, then don't let that person judging you deter you from doing what you believe to be right. Especially when you don't know if it is in fact right or wrong, because as a matter of fact, with that same example, that person that you're helping out could very well throw his opportunity that you've given him away. You help him, you get him a house, say you pay for his rent, you get him cleaned up, you teach him a skill, you get him a job, you provide food for him, and then he could end up going back to whatever caused him to be, like drug abuse tends to be a very high number, and he ends up going back in the streets. You can, and even though it's kind of like a futile attempt, but you did what you thought was right and was in fact right, but you cannot help a person who cannot be helped. I said a lot of things there, I hope it made sense. But at the very least, you know what you did is in fact right, I think. Again, this is just merely out of thin air. I'm trying to think of this to answer a question, and I don't have, and he does a lot better job than I do. More than likely, yes. Very wise man for sure. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Look at me.
Dang.
See, I'm always stoned. Never touched a substance, but always stoned. You can judge me whichever way you want. Because one thing is, I'm stoned in such a way that I have not lost my judgment at all. And at the same time, whichever way you judge me has absolutely no impact on me because I'm completely stoned.
Okay, so when he said stone, there is in America meaning that you're high. And I don't, it makes, like, it makes sense to think of it two ways. The way I think he said it in the very beginning, which is basically he's a stone, meaning that he's unaffected by whoever's judgment. Or two, the way that whenever you say someone is stoned in America, it means they're high, they've been smoking, they are out of their minds, and they're unaffected by a judgment because they're not in their right mind at the moment. So I don't know which way he's going with that one. It sounds like the drug one, but I don't know. Again, this is the English part where I don't know the cultural English. Is that I don't know if stone over there or in his mind means drug, or the fact that you're impervious to judgment.
Having said that, why this consumption of alcohol and drugs is growing the way it's growing in the world is, this is because the heavens have been collapsing. Yes, I was in Bangalore just 3-4 weeks ago. There were over 8,000 people doing a 2-day program with me. And just casually I asked, how many of you think you will go to heaven? Only 5 hands went up.
My hand would not have risen.
Then I asked, are you all the hell people? No.
I do believe we create our own heaven, meaning that not the existence of heaven that's biblical, but in the sense that the place we live in is the heaven that we create. And it's equally as so the hell that we create. If we continue to fight amongst each other, judge, well, I don't want to say judge, but constantly just, I don't know what the word to describe it, fighting amongst each other is, I guess, the best word I could put it. We're going to create this heaven as a means of just fighting each other. It's going to be literally hell. But this is our heaven. We created it. The laws and rules that we create is our heaven, whether that be good or bad.
No, it's just that both heaven and hell have collapsed in people's minds. This is the first time in the history of humanity that this many people in the world can think for themselves.
I wonder if he's talking about education there. I mean, in the past, people have always been able to think for themselves in a sense. Now, but they're influenced by, say, like priests and those of higher education, the wealthy and stuff. So I'm wondering if he's saying that because we are educated, we should know what's true and what's not because of our education, that we can think at this level compared to the people in the past.
Otherwise, your priest, your mullah, your pandit or a book was thinking for you.
Yeah, wow, okay. Yeah, in the past, people who go to church and stuff would follow the preachers because since they cannot read the book themselves, the preacher's interpreting it for them and then kind of making them think the preacher's making the people think whatever way he wants because he has the book of power.
The first time that so many people can think for themselves. Or they're thinking right, thinking wrong, there are many issues about that. But they're thinking right, thinking wrong, but they're thinking. So all illogical things are naturally collapsing. Still, this generation has not fully walked away from it, still there is fear. They can't openly say, there's no goddamn hell or heaven. They're still fearful about it, but they're trying to make a little heaven for themselves here.
Which again, I do believe this is our heaven. And you have absolute control over what happens with you and what you do around your life. You don't have control out on the outside world and what other people do, but you create your own heaven in this world.
So, hey, wait. So naturally, when they're not able to do it for themselves out of their own intelligence, they will fall back on chemicals. Today, just to take very affluent societies, because every society is aspiring to be like that. Let's say you take United States, which is
Oh boy.
the most affluent nation on the planet right now. 70% of US population is on prescription medication.
And that's what a lot of people are, I mean, some of the doctors that I watch, and that's some things I've been thinking about too, is the fact that everyone, well, I don't want to say everyone, there's a lot of people in the United States are looking for quick fixes, and they want a quick fix so much that they're willing to do almost anything for it. Drugs is one of it. A lot of people don't want to work for it. They but then again, it's because they don't know what else they can do. The lack of education and the fact that we kind of like what he said, well, like we were saying in the very beginning about the priest, the doctors are the priests nowadays, where we take their word as truth, but at the same time you go online and research alternate medicines and stuff, you don't know if these things work or not, or if they're just scams, or what's the other word I'm looking for? It's not scam related, but it's more like a placebo effect, where someone did it and it's like, oh, I'm all better, but it just so happens that person was cured at the time. And there's this one doctor I watch on YouTube. I like watching his YouTube. I can't remember his name. I'm terrible. I have bad memory, but he's very much for not prescribing medication at first. He's willing to work around like diet or exercise or holistic medicines to take that step first before diving into medication. And it's pretty bad when you see this kind of study, and I think it is very true. Even kids are getting drugged up because of ADHD, attention deficit disorder, or ADHD is advanced attention deficit disorder, something like that. It's crazy that we're prescribing drugs to kids. It's drugs are the solution to everything, basically. It almost seems that way in America.
Another 30%, of course, buying it off the back streets.
Oh God, no.
Most affluent nation. Obviously, affluence is not working. To be healthful, you need chemicals.
Yes.
To be joyful, you need chemicals.
Antidepressants.
To be peaceful, you need chemicals. To be ecstatic, of course.
I ain't lying. There's people out there that are depressed, and instead of trying to find a way to work through it, they take drugs. A quick fix. Just take a pill and you're perfectly fine. ADHD again. Because I guess parents are like, their children are can't keep their attention. They're constantly running around. Instead of finding a way to work with their children, drugs, quick fix. He said a few other things here.
You need chemicals. To be ecstatic, you need chemicals.
Diet pills. People wanted a quick fix for diet. There's a pill for that. It doesn't really work, but...
To be peaceful, you need chemicals.
Yeah,
to be ecstatic,
it's really crazy.
Of course. That is ecstasy. So, I'm not even looking at it morally. It's never a moral issue for me. If 90% of this population right now is on chemicals, believe me, the next generation that we produce will be a generation which is much less than us.
And I believe that, I'm starting to believe developed nations are kind of becoming that. And what I mean by that, I can only use Western worlds, Westernized nations, maybe, no, Western nations, not westernized. Westernized, I consider westernized nations as Japan and South Korea, but Western nations as in Europe and America. Um, I can I can only speak a little bit on Europe, but mostly in America. It's the fact that I guess I keep going back to the past of human history where where we're struggling to survive. Men would go out and hunt, sacrifice their lives to provide food for the family, um, and men were generally the defenders of a lot of things. It's not to say that women don't do anything. Women do a lot as well. During lacking times, and especially during World War One, World War Two, and the Civil War, everyone contributed because they know how hard times were. We all kind of, in a sense, have our place, but it complemented each other. It helped lessens the struggle. It made life a lot easier. But as nations develop and we become a developed nation, life becomes super easy. Nowadays, you don't have to hunt for your food. You don't really need to necessarily protect yourself. You do, obviously, but we have cops that kind of keeps the peace a little bit. Um, but we become less appreciative of what we provide for each other because we can provide that for ourselves, and that develops a little bit of a conflict. We're no longer dependent on each other, and therefore we fight each other. It's a little. I know it's a lot deeper than that. Again, I'm thinking this off straight to the top of my head. So basically, what I'm saying is the fact that God, I had it in my mind and I lost it. It's the sheer fact that because life is so easy, we no longer support or depend on each other, and we're thinking for ourselves and only for ourselves and not for other people, and we become selfish. Because life is so easy, we find trouble. Life is so easy that we look and nitpick the little things and cause more trouble. That's the way I feel right now about the United States in general. It's because life is so easy, we don't have wars over here, that people don't realize what the world is like, what people have done to make the place a better place, and that they're nitpicking. There is some validation in nitpicking certain things, but I think it can go too far.
If we produce a next generation,
Sorry. And that's the reason why a developed nation that doesn't have very many wars and stuff becomes soft. I guess that's where I was going at with that too, because he was talking about that the next generation becomes lesser. He's talking about more along the lines of drugs and stuff and how we handle ourselves. But I expand that into the nation itself, where because we're so peaceful and so quiet and we don't really have any hardships. I mean, there are people out there who live in a nice house, who has AC, who has food, and can afford nice things, are complaining that they don't make enough money. Well, to a degree that is true, but they are so much better off than a lot of people around the world. And because of that, they're complaining about everything instead of trying to do something about it. And then the next generation growing up from that they become so entitled, the fact that they don't know what a struggle is anymore, and it's just because things has become so easy. I'm sorry, I'm really going in so many different ways with that. I need to focus on this. Sorry.
than ourselves, we have committed a crime against humanity, because the next generation must be at least one step ahead of us, otherwise we've lost it. We've lost the entire process of civilization when we produce a next generation which is actually less than us. So we are heading to…
I'm wondering if that's just the cause of developed nations or first world nations. It's the fact that because because things are so easy, that our 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 tolerance for struggle is less and less, because how easy life is, that our tolerance for things that goes against us becomes lower and lower, meaning that we can only handle so much before we flip. Whereas in the past, the tolerance is so high because the thing that you need is food, shelter, and protection. Those were the basic things that people need, and if they had that, they were so happy. As civilizations develop, food, shelter, and protection has been provided for. It's no longer an issue. So with that gone, the struggle is almost gone. So they have to find other things to fight about. So, and that's what I think about us being lessers, because we are fighting over petty things. There are some valid fights out there, but there are also so many so many petty fights too, which adds on to this growing, I don't know, illogical or just petty fighting. I don't know how to else describe that.
Towards this rapidly, unless we teach individual human beings how to simply sit here and be blissed out.
Yes, be happy with what you got. That doesn't mean stop fighting for what you want, but don't be and complain about things that are actually good. I don't know, that's just me.
Stoned enough or no? Just look at me. But am I conscious enough, alert enough, clear enough?
I will say this is kind of weird. I went off completely different things than what he's talking about over here.
If there was a way to intoxicate yourself without losing your judgment, without losing your awareness, without losing your intelligence, it's a great thing.
Yes.
Intoxication is a fantastic thing.
Weird. But yes, I do agree with him. Intoxication, some people say, oh, life is my drug, which is, I guess very valid, But yeah, if there's a way, intoxication, at least in my mind, is a negative thing, but I know what he means here. Basically is to find, because to intoxicate yourself in terms of what they were talking about is the fact that this woman is intoxicating herself because she wants to forget the bad things in her life, to be happy. And I think what he's trying to say is the fact that if you want to be happy and be joyful, is to intoxicate yourself, but not in a bad way. So basically doing good things, productive things in life, things that make you happy.
Only problem is, it takes away your judgment, it takes away your intelligence, incapacitates you. That is the problem, isn't it? Is it true? Ask anybody, you're not in the medical sciences, but ask anybody, is it true that this body here is the greatest chemical factory in the universe right now?
Well, I mean, as far as we know, yes.
The universe that we know, at least.
Oh, there you go, yes. I need to stop pausing so quickly.
You're a lousy manager.
Yes.
If you know how to manage this, you would be like me, always blissed out. Anybody can say what they want, anybody can do what they want. This is like this only. Because I have not given this privilege to anybody, that somebody can make me happy, somebody can make me unhappy, somebody can make me miserable. Right now, you are a consequence of other people's opinions. Where do you plan to go like this? Anybody can ruin you. You went outside, somebody told you, Shreya, you are the most wonderful human being we have seen. Then you were floating on that cloud, what number?
9.
What number?
9.
9?
Yeah.
Oh, in South we do 11. You were floating on cloud whatever number, and you came home, people at home told you who you really are. And the cloud will crash.
I get it.
No. It's very important that neither this way or that way, we listen to everybody, because we could be doing something wrong. Hello?
Could.
Any moment we could be doing something wrong, so we listen to everybody. But
as a guidance,
what they say will not determine how I am.
Yes. You judge whether their judgments are correct or right, and you judge accordingly, you adjust accordingly. You do not let them determine who you are, but you listen to what they say and say, you know what? I could become a better person because of this, and therefore I will correct myself. You don't say, he is correct, therefore I will change. No. You say, that makes sense. I like that. I will therefore change myself.
Never, ever. This you must fix and you must tell your friend when she's not drunk. Because otherwise she won't understand.
Oh. Oh god, dude, I didn't realize how long I made this video. That's 30 minutes, my gosh. Okay. So yeah, it's an 8-minute video and I have a way of showing. I'm sorry, this is philosophy stuff and there's a lot of things to say. Although I said way too much that's semi not related to this, is something that I guess I kept in my mind and I wanted to free it out there, which is irrelevant. Well, it's kind of relevant in my thoughts anyway. So anyways, again, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope we continue this journey together with him. I want to watch other videos as well with maybe people in Buddhism, Christianity, and all these other religions, just to see what we can take away. Again, you have to listen to a lot of people and you don't necessarily have to believe or follow their teachings, but at very least listen to what they have to say and take it into account. And I absolutely love this guy so far. Again, the last video, I still need to watch that. It's not connecting with me for some odd reason. If anyone else has knows of another video that he has that talks about the same thing again, please link it in the description, in the comments below, because I want to watch another take of it. Maybe he explains it a little bit differently in another video. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.